Once-in-a-lifetime historical photos you can't ignore. We often explore the most iconic historical events, the ones we learn about in school, watch in documentaries, and read about in books. But what about the lesser-known moments? The ones that are just as fascinating but rarely make the spotlight? Take, for example, the Great Smog of London, a critical event in British history that often goes unnoticed. For 5 days in December 1952, a thick, choking smog blanketed the city of London, reducing visibility to near zero and halting daily life. This eerie phenomenon left a profound impact on the city and its people. Yet it's a story many of us never learned in school. Stay tuned as we uncover more forgotten chapters of history. And don't forget to subscribe for more captivating stories from the past. Hazel Ying Lee. It's no secret that it hasn't always been easy for women to make it in several industries. For a long time, men were considered to be of higher esteem than women. But that didn't ever stop women from trying to achieve greatness. The first mirror selfie. These days, it would be hard to imagine the world without selfies. While they weren't so common 20 years ago, selfies have found their way into pop culture and the lives of regular people every day. Many people thought that Paris Hilton was the first person to take the first selfie, but it turns out the first Secretary of State, Colin Powell, was the first person to ever take a mirror selfie more than 60 years ago. First photographed person. We have become so accustomed to using cameras, seeing photos, and understanding this technology that it can be difficult to imagine a time when people didn't know what a camera was, considering how well known it is today. Airline reservations. These days, many people probably think that flying across the world and arriving in another country a day later is no big deal. But once upon a time, flying was considered a very expensive, world-class, and wealthy thing to do. There were many moving pieces involved. Rock and roll. It can be difficult to imagine a time when humans lived in a wildly different setting than modern-day civilization. We are so used to living our lives today that trying to comprehend something even slightly different is too confusing. First female fighter pilot. These days, it isn't uncommon for women to dream big and achieve greatness, but that hasn't always been the case for women throughout history. For a long time, men dominated the workforce, superficially jobs that were considered dangerous, until women started fighting back. Well, Turkish aviatrix Sabiha Gökçen was one of the first female fighter pilots recorded in 1937. There are some historical moments that don't make much sense to people alive today. In order to understand some of these events, you have to try and think how people, however many years ago, would have thought and felt towards a certain situation. Old-school telephone tower. It is really easy to only think about the world as you know it, and not delve deeper into things you don't understand. We are all so used to things being the way that they are that we are barely asking questions about things we don't know. There is something weird about learning about periods of time in history, and then seeing an image associated with that time period, because there generally weren't many cameras around in many of these time periods, especially not during the French Revolution. So to see a photographed image of the barricades in the streets of France during the French Revolution is kind of shocking to the eye. It is so easy to forget that these certain historical events happened not so long ago and greatly affected the people around them. the picture of health. These days, it is widely understood and accepted that the act of smoking cigarettes and being active is a counterproductive combination. However, this understanding comes years after copious amounts of research and discussion. When you are a celebrity, we're sure there is a lot of pressure associated with that type of lifestyle. Whether you want to be known for your art or not, people will probably create to you, like your art, before they relate to you as the person that you are. It might seem counterproductive, but Leonard Nimoy wrote 2 autobiographies, I Am Spock and I Am Not Spock. It is no secret that for a long time, women were not allowed to partake in the same activities as men. Whether it be because it was unladylike or because only men were capable of doing it, people would come up with many different reasons as to why women couldn't do something. The monowheel. There are many different modes of transport that we humans have become used to using in our everyday lives. From bicycles to cars, we have come to understand which types of transport best suit us and our daily needs. It might be hard to believe, but some might say that memes aren't necessarily a modern-day invention. Memes are so synonymous with the internet that it is hard to imagine that could ever have existed without the internet. Well, apparently, a viral meme circulated in World War II, a time period when memes did not yet exist. Treading on thin ice. Have you ever considered someone else's job and thought, wow, that is crazy? There are so many niche and specific jobs out there that it makes you wonder how people find them in the first place. Well, being involved with a trans-Antarctic expedition seems like a pretty niche thing to be a part of. And in 1957, no less. 2,000-year-old tree. If you are currently sitting at a wooden desk or table, your immediate reaction probably isn't, "This wood was cut down from a tree." We are so used to seeing, using, and admiring wood that we rarely stop and think about the process of getting it. The end of prohibition. Amendment 21 to the Constitution was ratified on December 5, 1933, called Repeal of Prohibition, which ended the long ban on alcohol. This photo was taken the night Prohibition ended, and you can tell how people felt about that. Which of these historical photos surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments.